Let's head on to the 6 o'clock. Right now it's 6. Governor Newsom sending the CHP into more California cities, and he's citing operations in Oakland as the model.
It's an extraordinary thing to walk the streets of Oakland, have people come up and say thank you.
But do locals feel like the presence has actually made a difference? Plus, after endless delays and ballooning budgets, California's high-speed rail plan could try to fast-track its way toward the South Bay.
Gilroy is a linchpin.
We'll meet a Gilroy business owner located right off the tracks, who's cautiously optimistic about the plan.
I'm excited for it, keeping the positivity up.
And a historic East Bay theater finally ready for renovations after a devastating fire half a decade ago. And later, a way to deal with the grind of restaurant work that's gaining popularity across San Francisco.
Just something that's always made me happy since I was a kid, you know, makes me feel badass.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Millions more Californians are about to see CHP officers patrolling their cities. And Governor Newsom said it's all because of how well it worked here. Over the past 2 years, the governor has sent CHP officers to assist local law enforcement in places like San Francisco and Oakland. And he credits those surge operations with thousands of arrests and drug busts.
So successful was the operation in 2023 that we started receiving phone calls from other mayors throughout the state of California. Retail theft.
So today, he announced he's expanding those CHP surge operations to other parts of the state, including San Diego, Los Angeles, and the Central Valley. And while not all Oaklanders have welcomed the extra officers, police officials told our Lauren Toms they need all the help they can get.
California Highway Patrol's presence in Oakland is expected to fill an increased need for traffic enforcement in the coming weeks as Oakland Police prepares to slash its traffic safety division amid chronic understaffing levels. Oakland Police Union President Wee Win tells me CHP's role in Oakland has primarily been traffic enforcement, giving more resources back to the department for patrol and investigations.
We're losing our traffic division. A motor officer that's out there doing traffic enforcement, they are gone.
Currently, OPD has just over 500 officers, with about 6 leaving each month. At that pace, staffing could drop to 400 next year. And because 320 are required for patrols, few resources remain for specialized units like traffic enforcement.
It's tough when you show up to work and you're already walking into a ball game that you're facing a loss because there are 200 calls standing and you're showing up to citizens who are calling at the worst moment of their life, and you don't show up for hours later.
In his announcement, Newsom touted CHP's impact so far. Last year, CHP says its officers made more than 9,000 arrests and recovered nearly 5,800 stolen vehicles between Bakersfield, Oakland, and San Bernardino.
The community wants to see more, and we are trying to be responsive to the people we serve.
But CHP's elongated presence isn't welcomed by all. Felipe Kelly of the Ella Baker Center in Oakland says he's been pulled over by CHP officers twice within Oakland city limits in just the last 2 months. No citations, he says, were ever given.
The more police that are circulating in Oakland, the more chances of people of color, poor white people being harmed by police officers.
He also points to the death of Dr. Marvin Boomer earlier this year, a beloved Oakland teacher who was killed after a CHP pursuit ended when the suspect crashed into a residential neighborhood. Unlike Oakland police, CHP has the authority to chase vehicle suspects. CHP says the chase ended seconds before the crash. Darren White of the Oakland NAACP says that CHP must operate with more caution in Oakland, but that their support for public safety is essential.
Having extra boots on the ground that have been culturally receptive of the community that they're serving has been an added boost to reducing the crime that's in Oakland.
Newsom's announcement comes as President Trump threatens to deploy the National Guard to boost public safety in California cities. The governor says the state doesn't need military intervention, insisting California can handle the challenge on its own.
That this country needs to wake up to what's going on, and not just the authoritarian tendencies, but the authoritarian actions by this president. This cannot be normalized.
One thing Oakland police have been busy with is cracking down on illegal sideshows. New data shows so far this year, police seized 128 vehicles after they were involved in sideshow activity. That means even if you drove home that night, you aren't necessarily in the clear. All right, taking a closer look at those towed vehicles, the police say more than 80% aren't from Oakland. Investigators are still working to identify people involved in the sideshows. So far, officers have issued nearly 150 warrants to seize vehicles. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee joined us in studio earlier today. Our Ann Makovic spoke with her about the city's attempt to curb sideshows.
The budget did not allow for sideshow patrols last year, and we finally were able this year to put investments into special patrols and special operations for sideshows. And so we're cracking down hard on towing cars, on citing people, on arresting people.
The mayor said she's also looking for solutions beyond the city. She said she's working with Governor Newsom on regional cooperation. All right, now to a plan that has frustrated Californians for decades. Some new challenges with the high-speed rail project are putting the focus on fast-tracking the bullet train to reach more populated areas sooner. All of the work that has actually been completed so far is between the Central Valley cities of Bakersfield and Madera. And the plan has been to take the tracks further north through Merced before eventually branching out towards Silicon Valley. But with federal funding getting pulled, plus a number of other delays and cost overruns, there's new talk of an alternative plan that could fast-track a Gilroy station. Arlen Ramirez asked locals how they feel about their city taking center stage.
Well, Gilroy is increasingly seen as a critical link to the success of the high-speed rail system in California. And so moving forward, it will be necessary from both a logistical and political standpoint to get this community on board.
This Caltrain commuter train pulls into downtown Gilroy like it does every day. But in the not-so-distant future, these same tracks might carry something much faster, California's high-speed rail. For local barber Christian Mondragon, that future is pulling in fast, just like the trains that pass right behind his shop every day.
Right here. Oh, pretty close. Oh, so we hear the train every day.
Christian is a third-generation barber in town, and the family's business roots stretch back 70 years. He wants to stay in business for the long term and sees opportunity and challenges ahead, being on the tracks and a block from the proposed new station.
I'm excited for it, keeping the positivity up, and taking the precaution to keep my customers satisfied and everybody to arrive over here without, obstacles and stuff like that.
Gilroy is poised to become the critical link in high-speed rail, a junction connecting the Bay Area to the Central Valley and Southern California. The plan is for high-speed rail to tunnel under the Pacheco Pass and meet Caltrain here, allowing seamless transfers into Silicon Valley.
Gilroy is a linchpin right now. When we get to that point, I think we'll know we have arrived at a very significant place.
But State Senator Dave Cortese says getting it right is proving difficult. High-speed rail is grappling with delays, rising costs, and even a loss of federal funding under the Trump administration. $33 billion was the original price tag with a 2020 completion goal. But it now could cost $128 billion with full build-out pushed into the 2030s. With uncertain funding, state and rail officials say private investment is vital to keep the project moving.
The right kind of development in those areas can generate not only jobs and prosperity, but actually throw off what we call exaction money or contributions to the high-speed rail itself. So all of that is coming together at a good time, but we have a lot of work to do to pull it off.
With so many challenges now facing California, some question whether it's still worth it.
I think people just want to know where the money is going. Where is it gone?
Others are counting on the economic impact to the area, including 15,000 construction jobs statewide.
Not everyone can work behind a desk and in high tech. We still need blue collar workers, and it's not it's a good job.
For decades, Gilroy's identity has been rooted in garlic, a point of pride for the community. But it may one day get a second claim to fame, a hub for high-speed rail.
I'm looking forward to the bullet train, though. I'm looking forward to the train. Should be good.
It's a small town that can play a huge role in bridging regions of California, but spanning the funding gaps remain an unsolved challenge, pushing the start of this critical link further down the line.
And again, it might feel like nothing has happened with the high-speed rail project, but so far crews have completed nearly 70 miles of guideway, along with nearly 60 structures along that 171-mile stretch between Bakersfield and Merced. For the first time in a week, Canal Street in San Rafael is back open. It was shut down after a fire destroyed an apartment complex. More than 50 people were displaced in the fire. The city is helping them with temporary housing. The San Rafael Police Department is investigating the fire as suspicious. 2 people were killed in the fire. Today, the Marin County coroner identified the second victim as 68-year-old Pamela Scoggins. 62-year-old Tracy Lowmiller was also killed. The sheriff's office says there are no more missing people from the fire. A Napa County winery is cooperating with authorities as they search for the cause of the picket fire. It's been a week since the fire broke out near Calistoga. CAL FIRE says it's burned around 6,800 acres, and crews expect it to stay within the containment lines at this point. So check this out. Here's a map of the burn area. This is in the dark red, as you can see, with the lighter red and yellow areas showing up-to-date evacuation areas. Fire authorities in Calistoga are searching for the cause of the fire. We did reach out to 100 Acre Wines, which is near where the fire broke out. And a spokesperson sent us this statement saying, company representatives have spoken with fire investigators. They are working cooperatively with the investigation into the picket fire. There's no indication the fire was from a controlled burn. So the picket fire is having a large impact on the wine industry. Napa County's AG commissioner estimates the fire caused $65 million in losses for producers and impacted roughly 1,500 acres of crops. 20% of the grapes were damaged by actual fire and heat, and 80% from smoke. Still ahead here at 6, thousands of Bay Area residents getting an early jump on Labor Day travel will let you know the best times to hit the road if you want to avoid gridlock. Plus, an old hobby with roots in San Francisco finding new popularity with workers in the city's service industry.
This is like how we kind of like blow off our steam, relieve our stress, because we know that like after this, we're going to have to go back to that grind.
The Labor Day holiday travel rush kicking off. According to the FAA, today and tomorrow will be the busiest travel days at the airports. SFO expects about 930,000 passengers between now and Monday, about 97% of pre-pandemic levels. We also checked out the scene at Oakland International Airport. It is expecting more than 160,000 passengers over the long weekend. One traveler told us the lines were longer than expected, but she had some advice for going with the flow.
What you want to do is to try to relax, to be calm, because once you're here, you can't speed things up. So you have to accept that this is what it is and try to be calm so you start your vacation off on a high, on a plus.
If you're one of the millions of Americans expected to drive to your destination this holiday weekend, there are ways to avoid the worst of the traffic. So here we go. According to AAA, the best time to leave tonight is after 8 o'clock. The rest of the weekend, they recommend traveling as early in the day as possible, especially no later than noon tomorrow or Monday. As for the worst time to be on the road in the Bay Area, AAA expects things to really back up tomorrow evening on I-80, eastbound between San Francisco and Sacramento, and that's where you get all of that Lake Tahoe traffic. So this month was a busy time to come to San Francisco for sure. 3 large concerts in Golden Gate Park. They gave a boost to the city's economy. Mayor Daniel Lurie says more than 450,000 people went to these concerts, bringing with them about $150 million for the city. They were here for Outside Lands, Dead & Company, and Zach Bryan. And as the Bay Area's hospitality industry rebounds, its workers are still trying to find their footing. Our Itai Hodge shows us how some are doing it in a way that is surprising and fun.
At Out of Sight Pizza in San Francisco, owner Eric Ayler is a one-man assembly line cranking out hundreds of pies a day. Hot ovens, long hours, always on his feet.
Incredibly hard work. It's very physical.
Like many in the industry, his go-to way to unwind was at the bars. Now he lets loose at the park.
This is like how we kind of like blow up our steam, relieve our stress, because we know that like after this, we're going to have to go back to that grind.
Ayler is part of a growing number of hospitality workers finding balance on four wheels. Garrett Marks is the beverage director at a Michelin-starred restaurant, all buttoned up by night. But out here,
Just something that's always made me happy since I was a kid, makes me feel badass.
San Francisco has always been a skateboarding mecca, with its hills, iconic spots, and endless concrete. For restaurant workers stuck in one place all day, it's the perfect outlet. What's emerged is a kind of subculture. Chefs, bartenders, and cooks, all finding freedom on a board. And science shows there's something to it. A 2020 USC study found skateboarding boosts mental health and community.
You have over 8 million skateboarders, it's estimated, in the United States today.
Dr. Thomas Kemp is an economist who tracks the rise of skate parks. He says it's a growing trend among people in stressful jobs.
Skate parks are a great place where they can go and move around, get some exercise, and blow off some steam.
For Ayler, the board has bonded his staff closer. 17 of his employees now skate.
Just hit the group text, hey, you want to meet up, It's like the best feeling in the world.
Because sometimes the best way to survive the restaurant grind is by slicing out a little time for fun.
Oh, wow.
San Francisco has built even more skate spots over the past few years. In 2023, the city renovated UN Plaza and included more skate features. And earlier this summer, a skate area opened at the brand new Sunset Dunes Park. That's the park that replaced a stretch of the Great Highway. So the skate spot is just off Sloat Boulevard. Paul.
Plenty of options.
You got that?
See you out there over the holiday weekend. Let's take a look at today's high temperatures, which were very close to what's normal for late August. Another day in this typical weather pattern. But we are going to start warming up a little tomorrow and then more over the holiday weekend. Details coming up at First Alert Weather.
All right, we've been talking about the holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend, and traffic, and now we want to know about weather.
Yeah.
And what it's going to be like.
Other parts of the country treat Labor Day weekend as the kind of the unofficial end of summer, beginning of fall.
True.
It's adorable. Here in the Bay Area, we know that's when the heat just really starts to build.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be the case, actually, as we head into this weekend. It's not going to get crazy hot, but it's going to get warmer. Here's a fog-free view of the Golden Gate for now, but that fog is going to reform at the coast, and we'll see that trying to spread out as we head through the rest of tonight. It's going to be just a little bit warmer tomorrow. We're going to see more of a mix of 80s and 90s inland, and then the inland heat does build over Labor Day weekend. But even then, we're talking about any widespread dangerous heat, and I don't think we're going to threaten any records, although here's the change in the forecast. It does look like that inland heat is going to persist as we head through much of the first week of September. So let's take a look outside from a different vantage point, looking towards downtown from Treasure Island. It's nice out there this evening. Temperature downtown is 64 degrees, just perfect temperatures for any outdoor activities in the city. And even farther inland, it's not, again, that warm. 87 degrees now in Concord. That number will back down quickly, as will the 83 in Livermore. You're in the mid-70s already in San Jose and in Santa Rosa. As we head through the rest of tonight, let's track the fog on our floor map, and we are going to see it reforming and trying to spread into the same locations it has the past couple of nights. Really a good push into the Santa Clara Valley, some of it into the valleys of the North Bay. But once the sun comes up tomorrow morning, that inland fog does not last long. It'll retreat to around the bay by mid-morning and back up to the coast by midday, and we are going to see the sun peeking through, even at the coast. Clearing skies will allow sunshine to emerge, and temperatures are going to be just a little bit warmer as we head through the afternoon. You see the real heat on the temperature palette really showing up in the Central Valley, as to be expected. Let's take a look at our forecast highs for tomorrow, which are going to climb up into the 80s in the Santa Clara Valley for the most part. 82 in San Jose is exactly normal for tomorrow, but 90 degrees in Morgan Hills, a little above average. A mix of upper 80s and more low 90s showing up east of the Oakland Hills. Some of the hot spots around Antioch and Brentwood, probably falling short of the mid-90s, but a noticeable warm-up. A mix of 70s and 80s around the Bay with 60s at the coast, and then mostly 80s for the North Bay, ranging from 80 in San Rafael to above 90 degrees already by tomorrow afternoon around Healdsburg. Let's take a look again at the heat risk as we head through the next couple of days after we check out the dog walking forecast. Can't forget about that. We've got an adoptable dog, Winnie, from the East County Animal Shelter. And because she is both a sizable pup and she's a senior, she qualifies for both Fluffy Dog Friday and Senior Sunday when her adoption fee is waived. So you can get her for free. She's got the right idea. Just hang out in the shade during the warmth of the afternoon tomorrow with temperatures climbing well into the 80s. We use Santa Rosa as an inland example of temperatures over the next several days, and you see the heat building over the weekend, but low 90s, not excessively hot for late August and into early September. See that heat persisting through the first half of next week before we dip down to closer to normal temperatures by the end of next week. The spots where you need to be a little more concerned about the heat are going to be far inland in the East Bay, through the Delta into Solano County. That's where the heat risk on Saturday could climb into the moderate and maybe even high category around Fairfield, Antioch, and Brentwood, some of those usual hot spots, something we'll keep you updated on as we head through the rest of this week and into that holiday weekend. Here's the 7-day forecast. And again, it does show the inland 90s becoming more widespread this weekend and then sticking around through at least the first half of next week before a little dip in temperatures by next Thursday. That part of the forecast still in flux. The various forecast models are having some disagreements on exactly how long this little hot spell is going to last. Temperatures around the bay, not going to be that hot. The hottest days are going to approach 80 degrees, but mostly topping out in the mid to upper 70s. And at the coast, you'll see the same pattern repeating itself you've seen for the past few days with morning fog giving way to afternoon sunshine. I think the fog becomes a bit more widespread by the time we hit the abbreviated post-Labor Day work week. Jules?
Thanks so much. When we come back, a historic East Bay theater destroyed by a fire is finally getting a much-needed facelift. An East Bay theater undergoing a massive renovation. The Lorenzo Theater in San Lorenzo broke ground today on phase 2 of the reconstruction project. The historic site was built in 1947 as a 700-person theater. Alameda County bought it more than a decade ago to use as a public arts and entertainment venue. But in 2020, the theater suffered 2 fires, forcing it to shut down. After removing debris and stabilizing the site, it's officially ready for the next phase of rehabilitation. So phase 2 will focus on restoring some of the theater's most iconic elements. This includes preserving the facade, reconstructing the interior, and reinstalling unique murals.
It's a jungle scene, but the big thing about it that's really exciting is these are black light murals. So when you would come in to see the movie and the lights dimmed, the black lights would remain on. And so you couldn't decide if you were going to watch the movie or look at the murals.
Ooh, black light murals. Okay, the Board of Soups approved nearly $18 million for this round of upgrades. Construction expected to be completed next December. Let's go to the movies. All right, CBS Evening News is next on KPIX Local News, always streaming on CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes with more news just for you at 7. See you then.